I just started my application container and it refuses to stay alive. Look, it runs for a few seconds, it dies, and it starts again, over and over again. This endless cycle is called a crash loop. In this episode, I'll deliberately break a container, walk you through every step of debugging it with Docker commands, and then fix it. Stick around because these are the kind of issues that appear in production environments every day. And knowing how to debug them makes you a real DevOps engineer. If you are serious about Docker and DevOps, hit subscribe right now. On this channel, we don't just install tools, we simulate real failures. So you are prepared when they happen at work. Let's talk about what exactly happening before we jump into the demo. First, let me write down something. Start followed by crash, then restart policy, then loop. Docker starts the container, application fails inside, so we are seeing the crash. Because of this restart policy, Docker tries to bring the container back online. But the bug is still there. It fails again. We are stuck in a loop. The container will try to start, application crash, restart policy will bring Docker container back up again. Again it fails. It's the same process. It's a never-ending loop. In Kubernetes, this shows up as crash loop back off. In plain Docker, you will see it as a container stuck in restart mode. Now let's jump into the demo. Here I have episode 5 crash loop folder. In this folder I have application.py, docker file, and requirements.txt. So let's start with application.py. So this is very simple code. It expects an environment variable. If this is not set, Python raises a error and the container dies immediately. So first we are going to start by building the image. For that I am going to say docker build -t crash application :v1 space dot. Press enter. So as soon as we build the image, we are going to run that container using the same image. Let's try to run the container using the image which we built just now, crash app :v1. I'm running the docker run command followed by the name is crash1. Always I'm trying to pass this flag so that I don't want to restart containers manually. -p port 5000 crash app v1. Press enter. Container started. Let's look at the container. So now let's look at the running container. For that I'm using watch -n command. 2 seconds is, let's say, the time period to refresh every 2 seconds and run this particular command. Docker ps -f filter name is equal to crash1. Press enter. If you look here, container id crash app v1 is the image, python app.py 45 seconds ago, restarting in 17 seconds ago. You will see this message. Crash1 is, let's say, the name. So if we wait for a few more seconds, it will try to restart. Restarting 1 second ago. Container got stuck in a loop and it keeps on failing. Let me control C. Let's try to run docker inspect crash one pipe grep -i restart. Press enter. So I can see the status is restarting. Restart count 11, restart policy. Now let's try to get into the container. Docker execute -it interactive mode crash1 and environment variables. Yes, I get an error saying error from response from daemon. Container is restarting. Okay. If the container is in restart mode, I cannot even connect to the container. So docker execute doesn't even work. The container dies before we can get inside. This is what makes crash loops so tricky. You can't just open a shell and poke around. Now here comes our savior. Docker logs crash 1. Press enter. If you look at here, I can see a clear error saying key error app secret. Okay. With this, I get an idea. Okay, something is wrong with our application code. Line 4, if you see app.py, line 4, os.environment app underscore secret. So if you go back here, the line 4, it says apps underscore secret. The app is crashing because the environment variable isn't set. Now let me clear the screen. Now let's try to stop the container, and also let's try to remove that container so that we can restart it once again. Now let's try to fix that issue. I'm going to run the container once again, but if you look at here, I'm trying to pass the app secret here. That means our container should start normally without getting restarted. Press enter. Let's try to run the watch command once again. Press enter. If you see here, up 14 seconds ago. That means container is, let's say, starting up. It's not going to the restart or loop back stage. Let me jump back to my browser and try to refresh it here. Yes, app is running. Secret is equal to super secret. We just added one environment variable called super secret and our application is running. The application starts, stays up, and the crash loop is gone. Debugging complete. This is how you try to debug in real world production environments. Let's do a quick recap of this particular episode. A crash loop happens when a container starts, fails, and restarts endlessly. Always use Docker logs first. It usually tells you the exact problem. Docker inspect helps you confirm restart policies, as we have seen in the demo. You can't always execute into a crashing loop container, so logs are critical. The fix depends on the root cause. In our case, it was a missing environment variable, whereas in other cases, it can be a different issue, but the process is same. In the next episode, we will move back to Docker Compose. We'll run a full stack application, Flask, Postgres, Nginx, and I'll break it with a bad YAML configuration so you learn how to debug compose errors. Don't miss it. Hit like, subscribe, and comment if you ever seen a container stuck in a crash loop. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.